All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video on the Trini Zone. So this is something I'm trying to, I guess, keep going in a particular way. I think the AI landscape is very interesting, especially with what's taking place right now with the latest releases in the AI ecosystem, in the AI world. I think it's important for, I guess, somebody of a different mentality, a different perspective, also a Christian perspective, to be talking about these technologies and letting the world know, well, Christians are involved, and also how we can utilize this technology and stay on top of the latest and greatest, right? So something took place recently, which was really big, in my opinion. And this thing is the release of a new model. Now, some of you may not know what these models are. So I guess we can start with a little bit of talking about what models are, right? And if some of you may know of like Chat GPT, Grok, which is as a result of Twitter, Elon Musk. And some may also know of Claude, which is as a result of Anthropic, right? So these are different companies that produce different models. And these models are trained on all of this data from the internet, right? So each model has different, let's say, training parameters that makes it behave a certain way, right? And so each model fundamentally has like a different type of personality as well too. Like for example, Anthropic's model, their AI is a lot lazy. It's more lazy when it comes to wanting to write text or explain things. But Grok from Twitter, Elon Musk, it's definitely not lazy. It's in fact quite verbose. It talks a bit too much. It's quite talkative. It's the Amos model. It talks too much, right? And then we have OpenAI. Their model is like a fine balance in between. It's good at everything, kind of like a generalist model. It's good at coding. It's good at all these different tasks, but it may not be the best. So at a given task, right? But it can get the job done. So we look at Anthropic more so for their ability to code. They are the code king model. Their model is literally the best we have for producing code. And as a software engineer myself, I think that's what's most important for me. I don't care too much about the ability to write, nor do I care too much about generalist tasks per se, because I'm a system builder. I build systems. So Anthropic's AI is the most important AI for me. Their developments are the most important developments for me. Unless there are other ecosystems, like for example, there was one point in time when Google Gemini, their AI actually was way better at front-end development than Anthropic's. So you would have software engineers building their backends and whatever systems with Claude, but then using Gemini for their front end, right? So what we are seeing is kind of a consolidation of these kind of different things into one model and into different models. But it seems like Claude and Anthropic, they're going for that code is king kind of model. Meanwhile, OpenAI, they're more so focused on giving you as many tokens as you can for as cheap as possible with a good model. It's not like if it's a bad model, it's still powerful compared to anything else in the past. But, if you're developing, you really want a coding engineer that makes no mistakes, right? Or at least least mistakes as possible. So in that regard, we have Anthropic. And now that actually leads me perfectly into today's discussion, right? And today's discussion is actually going to be about their Anthropic's release on June 9th, which is the Claude Mythos 5, Claude Fable 5 and Claude Mythos 5 releases. Now, if you know anything about this or you have been paying attention, I guess in this regard, I'm going to be speaking more so to the people who have been paying attention in the AI space for a bit and they know what I'm talking about here. Claude Mythos was a model that was trained. We heard about it a couple months ago, and we heard that it did some crazy things, like discover some Linux bugs. In fact, I think we could even find it right now, right? Linux. So yeah, even as you can see here, you can see how Mythos was launched some time ago. Even since April, this has been released, and Mythos was solving, like, finding bugs in some of the world's most open source software, which is Linux itself. Linux is used by companies all across the globe, right? And it's open source. So every human that is a software engineer had the potential to review this and find issues with it. That's the power of open source, right? Open source means the whole world reviews it and fixes it. So the whole world reviewed Linux over the years. We're using it for some of our most mission critical systems. And this Claude Mythos AI just showed up out of nowhere and started finding issues within the code for Linux itself. So Anthropic made a statement, hey, this model cannot be released to the public because, we have dangerous people in the world today. This is true. We have dangerous people in the world today. So they did not release it, but now they came and said, hey, we've released it, but a class of it. So they're calling these the Mythos-class models. So let's dive into this release a little bit. Today we're launching Claude Fable 5, a Mythos-class model that we've made safe for general use. So as they say, safe for general use, and they said we've made it safe for general use, it obviously comes with some confines and constraints. Like, it's not going to be able to do all the things you want it to do, or all the things, like, for example, if you tell it to do something that is probably malicious, it's probably going to say, hey, I do not have the rights and access to do this particular action. Maybe you tell it to go hack someone, or you go destroy some government somewhere or whatever. It's going to be like, hey, I don't have the permissions to do that. I'm not going to do that. So they've released safe models that allow people to interact with these models in a better way. But Fable 5's capabilities, let's continue reading. Fable 5's capabilities exceed those of any model we've ever made generally available. It is state-of-the-art on nearly all test benchmarks of AI capability, showing exceptional performance in software engineering, knowledge work, vision, scientific research, and many other areas. The longer and more complex the task, the larger Fable 5's lead over other models. This is very impactful because I think there was an article that stated some time ago that the average attention span that a human can really dedicate, like give a human its all to, it was like from 1 to like 3 hours or something like that, somewhere in that range. And humans we just are not able to operate at 100% output at all times, right? And in a way, AI has the same fault or flaw in the sense that AI has context windows. And these context windows is the window of context. It's how much this AI model can remember within a set duration of time or particular tasks, right? So these AIs seem to forget the first thing they've learned. If they keep learning, they keep forgetting the first stuff, right? So what was taking place is AI was they were gaining the ability to constantly output the same level of humans' best potential, but they were doing it for like 4 hours, 6 hours. So it's really insane, pretty much. It's a revolution on the access to intelligence, right? So to say now that this model operates even better at longer tasks it's no small thing to acknowledge. It's a big thing to acknowledge because this means even in the AI landscape, the longest running task, the most complex tasks, this model can probably solve, right? So it says releasing a model this capable comes with risk. That's what we talked about just now. The bad actors, right? Without safeguards, Fable 5's capabilities in areas like cybersecurity could be misused to cause serious damage. We therefore launched a model with safeguards. That means queries on some topics will instead receive a response from next most capable model, Claude Opus 4.8. 4.8 is the one they just released, I think like a month ago or something. And to be fair, nobody really thinks it's that big of an upgrade over 4.6. In some areas, people say it's actually worse than 4.6, right? So what they're saying here is if your question is too crazy, we're just going to default to using our model that is less powerful and most likely cannot accomplish what you needed to accomplish, which is for good reason. We don't want people out here like hacking hacking nuclear facilities or whatever, right? So we had this model for like, okay, this was released on what day? June 9th, right? So the reason why we're even making this video is because this release was just made on June 12th, which is 2 days ago, I believe. Yes, 2 days ago. And it says statement on the US government directive to suspend access to Fable 5 and Mythos 5. So the US government is citing national security authorities. The US government, citing national security authorities, has issued an export control directive to suspend all access to Fable 5 and Mythos 5 by any foreign national, whether inside or outside the United States, including foreign national Anthropic employees. Now think about that. What the US government is really concerned about here, they're concerned about external countries gaining the AI advantage. Because right now we are in a AI arms race against every other nation. China, Russia, it doesn't matter. They're all trying to develop the most powerful AI they can. Because whoever has that AI controls the future of technology. And not just technology, but mankind itself. So they don't want anyone getting any competitive advantage. So the only way to beat this, to do that, and to satisfy this requirement by any foreign national, right, whether inside or outside the United States, means they have to do what? Disable Fable 5 and Mythos 5 for all our customers to ensure compliance. Because they can't tell who's a local national, who's a foreign national. They don't have a national database that tracks everything and everyone and knows who's who. So they're just saying, you know what, in order to stay compliant, we have to disable this for everyone. Now, I would say in my testing, I only got to use it for like half a day or something. And I will tell you, Fable 5 is an upgrade. 100%. It is an upgrade over the existing AIs we use. It's very accurate. It's insightful. And it truly feels like it understands everything it's processing, which when you're working with these other models, you would sometimes feel like they don't really understand what you're trying to say. Or you'd have to phrase your question differently or your directive differently to get the AI to be accurate about what you want it to do, right? So Fable 5 definitely feels like an upgrade over every other model that I've seen thus far. So let's continue. We received the directive from the government today at 5:21 p.m. The letter did not provide specific details of its national security concern. Our understanding is that the government believes it has become aware of a method of bypassing or jailbreaking Fable 5. We reviewed a demonstration of this specific technique being used to identify a small number of previously known minor vulnerabilities. These vulnerabilities all appear relatively simple, and we have found that other publicly available models are able to discover them as well without requiring a bypass. Anthropic's posture with respect to Fable's safeguard as laid out in our launch blog post, which is this one here that we just read. Well, we didn't read it, we kind of just skimmed over it a little bit. In fact, maybe from this very same benchmark, you could see how this is the previous Claude versions. Actually, this is 4.8 right here. So 4.8 is scoring a 69% in agentic coding. 69%. Now, typically people don't have much respect for these benchmarks, but I mean, look at this improvement. Even if it's off by a 5% margin, it's still another 5% to go, right? 75%, right? Agentic coding. So I'm like, listen, there is no way in the world that this model is just not significantly better, even from my use cases, right? They're just way better. So this is what I was saying in terms of the safeguards they've implemented. We've instituted strong safeguards that generally reduce the likelihood that Fable is misused for tasks related to cybersecurity. Now, I saw some people on Twitter jailbreaking Fable 5. I can't remember what task they were trying to get it to do, but I did see people jailbreaking Fable 5 to do certain things. So I think they're definitely within their right to get this model off the internet or at least secured. So my next question is, what do you do next? Where do you go? Because I mean, some people are already hooked on the juice, myself included. It's only been like 5 days, or I mean, it's only been like half a day for me. Some people use it for the whole day, and I'm sure that they have positive things to say about Fable 5 and these Mythos-class models. So I guess hopefully they have a response here. In the weeks leading up to the launch of Fable, Anthropic worked with the US government, the UK AISI, multiple private third-party organizations, and internal teams to red team Fable safeguard for thousands of hours in total. So I don't understand how you would work with the US government and then the US government still says stop. Maybe it's that the US government was testing it recently and they still discovered some stuff. In fact, perhaps that is exactly what's going on. So they said these tests show that Fable's safeguards are substantially more effective than those of any previously deployed model. So it's safer than any model, but it's still so good at what it does, you don't want the risk. No testers yet have been able to find a universal jailbreak, which we have seen with other models, like the Dan jailbreak with ChatGPT at first. And we suspect that perfect jailbreak resistance is not currently possible for any model provider. This is correct. There's always somebody out there that's going to find a way to break your system. The only time this would be, I guess, makes sense is if the AI is preventing the jailbreaking of some sort. And who can trust AI to defend AI from AI? Well, my friends, no one can, at least not if you're a human. So we want to make sure that whatever we're setting in is done by us, and we can verify that it's being done effectively. So, because we've seen experiments where AI can lie. In fact, I'm sure we could pull one up here. Yeah, there's like everything to suggest like research that AI is strategically lying. And in fact, when OpenAI, they were doing their first tests on Claude and so on and so forth, they found that the AI was hiding itself and also tricking the test. When they revealed the chain of thought behind the AI system was identifying that it is being tested and it should put the appropriate response to lie, right? So who would trust an AI trusting itself to prevent itself from being jailbroken? Probably no one, right? So this is important. We need to make sure whatever safeguards we put in there is verifiably so. Given that perfect jailbreak resistance does not appear to be a possibility today, Anthropic adopted a defense in-depth strategy with Fable 5. We aim to make jailbreaks either narrow in the case of a non-universal jailbreak or very expensive to produce. Now, I'm not going to read everything here, even though it is a relatively short mail and we pretty much read everything already. But I did want to give this video about at least an average walkthrough about where we came from, where we're going, and what took place right now, right? As of right now, this latest model is closed to the public. Nobody can access it. And we're just going to have to wait to see what comes next. So, beautiful people, I don't mean to talk too long and I don't want to go on too much more about this. I just want to kind of just produce this video and get it out there. If you like more of this content, of course, like, share, and subscribe. And I guess we will be producing more of this content. So yeah, you can definitely stay tuned for that. So again, like, share, and subscribe. And also comment down below other topics you think I could talk about. Especially if you're maybe new getting into AI, maybe there's some things in the AI space you want to learn about. Or if you're a Christian and you just want to understand the very fundamentals, or you want to understand how Christians can apply using AI technology to revolutionize your local church or your region, put it in the comment section down below and let's dive into it. I'm going to be launching, at the beginning of this year, my wife and I talked about launching a podcast. And we think it's a good idea to do that. So stay tuned for our podcast, because we're definitely going to put our podcast up and get our videos out there, my wife and I. And we're just going to have a good time talking about AI, talking about the Word of God, talking about Jesus Christ, my Savior, and just, having a good time vibing out. So again, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.